The day I fixed a $5 million hypercar with a pencil. That's when I realized the whole system was broken. It all started on a sweltering Tuesday morning. The kind of heat that cooks the asphalt in Silicon Valley. And I was just trying to get to the public library before they ran out of the good coffee. When the world's most expensive breakdown happened right in front of me, I remember the sound first not, the standard sputter of an old engine, but a high-pitched, proprietary death rattle, like a symphony orchestra tuning up for disaster. Then, the smoke. A beautiful, eerie plume of pale, bluish-gray vapor curling up from the titanium shell of a pulsar apex, one of maybe 20 ever made, worth north of $5 million. And standing next to it, frantically jabbing at his phone, was Marcus Thorne, the kind of tech titan whose face is always on glossy magazine covers? All tailored Italian suits and panicked desperation. I knew that sound, immediately, intimately. It was the quantum thrust cooling system failing. Specifically, a microfracture in the secondary loop. I knew it because 3 years ago, before I became just another invisible man sleeping under the freeway overpass, I was Elias Vance, lead thermodynamics engineer at Aeroflux Industries, and I had literally designed the cooling system that the pulsar apex was based on. I'd even flagged that exact stress point in my final report, a warning they tossed aside to hit a quarterly deadline. The irony was so thick, I could almost taste it. So I walked over, trying to look as non-threatening as a man with a tattered backpack and 3 days of beard growth can look. "Sir," I said, keeping my voice steady, "your quantum flux cooler has a fracture secondary loop. I can fix it." Thorne stopped mid-dial, his finger hovering over the emergency security number. His eyes scanned me, my threadbare jacket, the mud on my sneakers end. His face went from panic to pure, cutting dismissal. "Don't touch my car," he sneered, his tone sharp enough to cut glass. "And please, step back. This vehicle contains classified technology, miles above whatever you think you know." That stung. Not the "don't touch my car," but the casual erasure of my entire existence. I have an MIT doctorate, 5 world-changing patents, and an IQ that could run a small country, yet to him, I was just a threat. A stain on his perfect industrial landscape. "I know the fracture is causing the coolant to vaporize against the thermal shielding," I countered, pointing to the specific shade of smoke. "If that continues, you'll have catastrophic engine failure in approximately 47 minutes. And I know that because I wrote the internal memo code. XT789 that documented this exact design flaw 5 years ago." The color drained from his face. XT789 wasn't public. That was proprietary insider information. "Did someone send you? Is this a stunt?" He demanded, suspicion replacing arrogance. He didn't see a colleague. He saw industrial espionage, or worse, a setup. False accusations, corporate politics, and a system quick to condemn an inconvenient black engineer. "That's how I ended up here, Mr. Thorne," I replied, feeling that familiar, weary bitterness rise up. "But right now, your car has maybe 30 minutes, and the nearest authorized repair facility is 2 hours away. They won't have the parts, and they certainly won't have the expertise for this specific model." Just then, 2 sleek black SUVs pulled up private security from Thorne's campus. TechSphere, led by a man named Reynolds, all crisp uniform and icy distrust. Reynolds immediately sized me up. "Mr. Thorne, this man needs to step away from the vehicle. We can't compromise valuable intellectual property." Thorne looked at the rising smoke, then at Reynolds, and finally back at me. He was visibly torn between his corporate protocol and the ticking clock. "The bearing replacement alone," I added quietly, "will cost about $950,000 if it fails completely. They use a proprietary alloy that takes 11 weeks to fabricate." That number hit him. He knew I was right, but the risk was immense. He was about to tell Reynolds to remove me when I gave him my last card. "Make one call," I urged, my voice intense. "Call Dr. Lena Shu at Solaris Dynamics. Tell her Elias Vance is here. She'll confirm everything." Dr. Shu was the chief science officer at a rival firm, and a name like hers was currency in that world. Thorne hesitated, then pulled out his phone. The next few minutes stretched into an eternity of tense silence, with Reynolds and his guards closing in. When Thorne finally connected, he put the call on speaker, his hand visibly shaking. "Dr. Shu, I apologize for the intrusion, but I have a man here, Elias Vance. Says he knows you." The voice that came through the speaker was sharp, professional, and then laced with profound shock. "Elias, is that really you? We thought you were gone." Anthony listened to Milius. Vance is the most brilliant thermal engineer of his generation. His quantum cooling designs are still the bedrock of our spaceflight systems. If he says he can fix your pulsar apex, let him. He's probably the single most qualified person on the planet. The air pressure in that street changed instantly. Reynolds took a startled half-step back. Thorne's expression shifted from suspicion to abject humiliation and burgeoning respect. "But Dr. Shu," Thorne stammered, glancing at my clothes, "he appears to be homeless. That's a long, ugly story, Anthony." Dr. Shu's voice grew fierce. "But right now, you have 8 minutes before a $5 million paperweight. You trust me with billions in R and detrust Elias with your car. And Elias," she added, "when you're done, you call me. We have a position waiting, always have." "I'll consider it, Lena," I replied, a small, genuine smile finally breaking through. "But first, we save the vehicle." With the green light, I got to work. Thorne sheepishly opened the emergency kit. The crowd had swelled, phones recording, sensing the drama. I explained my plan. I needed the standard sealant from the kit, but to bond with the proprietary loop alloy, needed an infusion of high-density nanoparticles. I held up the specific pencil grade the guard had managed to procure from a nearby corner store. Mars Lumograph 8B. Thorne stared, aghast. "You're going to fix my hypercar with pencil lead?" "Engineering," I shrugged, "is about solving problems with available resources." The next few minutes were a blur of intense focus. My hands, despite all the trauma and hardship, moved with the surgical precision of an engineer who knows his design better than anyone. I carefully crushed the soft graphite core, mixed the precise ratio into the sealant, and applied the compound to the hairline fracture. Warning, 6 minutes to critical failure. I ignored the chime, isolating the section, venting the contaminated coolant, and finally restoring system pressure. "Warning, 30 seconds remaining. Start the engine," I instructed, wiping my hands on a discarded rag. Thorne, pale and wide-eyed, pressed the ignition. The engine whined, then settled into a deep, powerful, perfect purr. No smoke. The diagnostic screen flashed. System stabilized. Performance limited to 70%. Service recommended. Spontaneous cheer went up from the small crowd. Thorne just stared at the screen, muttering, "Impossible." The manufacturer said it couldn't be done in the field. "The manufacturer overcomplicates things to maintain a service monopoly," I said, handing back his rag. "It's simple fluid dynamics when you understand the fundamentals." He extended his hand, the handshake firm. "Thank you, Elias. You saved my investment. And maybe my reputation. I owe you. Name your price." But the price wasn't money. My mind was already moving beyond the repair. "You owe me an audience, Anthony," I corrected him. "I want to talk about the system that tried to destroy me, and the people it's destroying right now." Within the hour, I was transformed. A quick trip to a bespoke tailor. A professional shave-the-man looking back from the mirror was the Elias Vance I used to know. The drive to his corporate headquarters felt surreal. Passing under the very freeway I slept near just hours ago at the HQ. Anthony had me sit in on his crucial investor meeting about their new quantum computing thermal regulation system. I listened, taking notes on the custom-made pad they provided. When Anthony finally asked for my thoughts, I spent 7 minutes detailing 3 critical, unrecognized flaws in their system, and sketched an alternative modification that would increase their efficiency by 40% while cutting manufacturing costs. The room, full of sharp-suited investors, erupted. They weren't just impressed, they were utterly sold. Later, as the last of the ecstatic investors filed out, Anthony turned to me, his admiration undisguised. That was genius, Elias. You didn't just fix my car. You revolutionized our flagship project. I'm offering you the Director of Engineering position. Full creative control. Name your salary. I paused. This was the moment of personal vindication, the comfortable path back. But I had seen too much. I appreciate the offer, Anthony, I said, but I've seen the other side of this world now. It's not about me getting back in. It's about the others we leave behind. I pulled out a worn, creased bundle of papers, my own patents, scribbled on discarded napkins and library paper over the last 3 years. Solutions to problems his industry hadn't even recognized yet. These are worth more than your hypercar, I told him. And they are the result of 3 years of quiet observation, of thinking outside the box literally. Imagine how many brilliant minds are out there, people like me, but without the lucky chance encounter. Its potential is being wasted because they lost their job, their address, and their credit score. The system is designed to keep them down once they fall. What are you proposing? He asked, his eyes wide as he scanned the revolutionary sketches for a quantum neural cooling network. We don't need another department, I said, leaning forward, the fire in my belly roaring. We need an inclusion lab, a dedicated center for talent recovery, a place that finds overlooked brilliance, regardless of background, skin color, or resume gap. My technical expertise and my lived experience, combined with your resources and connections, these patents fund the initial phase. We changed the pipeline, Anthony, studied me, not with the skepticism of the street, but with the sharp gaze of an equal partner. Not personal revenge, but systemic change. You want to fix the system that broke you. Exactly, I affirmed. The tragedy wasn't me being homeless. It was society wasting 3 years of a top mind. Let's make sure it doesn't happen again. Anthony Thorne, the man who couldn't see me that morning, extended his hand, not as a superior, but as a colleague. Elias Vaunt, you found yourself a partner. And that's how a $5 million breakdown turned into a multi-million-dollar solution. Not just for a car, but for the fundamental issue of meritocracy in our country. We're building that lab now, finding those forgotten geniuses, the former medical researchers cooking food in shelters, the mechanical engineers working cash jobs because one bad rumor tanked their life. But it leaves me with a question for you. How often do you think you might have walked right past the next world-changing idea? Simply because it was wearing the wrong clothes, driving the wrong car, or holding up a cardboard sign? The real friction in our society isn't between rich and poor. It's between the perceived worth and the actual potential. Have you ever been dismissed instantly because of a superficial detail? Or have you dismissed someone else? Drop a comment below. Tell me your story of being overlooked. Or the time you gave an unlikely person a chance, did it change how you see the world? Let's talk about the talent we're all letting go to waste.